khutabusa bibindu bikali mumiluha yayingisibwamo kamapesi silingi trillion sikano sitwela kamahumisirane na tsirano kakabirisibwa mumatuli sako kumukanda mutwela ni bitondo birano katabusibwa khubandu babola ifuma ndwela kimikanda kitaru bikano bibili sitondo sitwela kamahumisirane na mapataru mwinambo. Gavumenti ya Uganda ikhusima khulwe khukhwakanila PDM ni khukiyetsa khura khusye khurambila inda yonyene. Babandu balombebwa khukhuyambila munekharenga bubakhobo okhutabusibwakho ni ba Government Citizen Interaction Center State House.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Here we are for our final episode of the month of November. I am your host Joram Paul Sonko and I welcome you all to the Business Roundup. With plenty of stories in store for you, let's first check out the highlights. Ministry of Energy issues ultimatum for Yaka customers across the country. Uganda Airlines unveils the Flight Path Sustainability Project. This is to mitigate bird strikes at Entebbe International Airport. The Bank of Uganda haste sparks widespread concerns about the security of Uganda's financial systems. Now sit back because it's time for business. In our first report, Yaka customers across the country have been urged to comply with the new prepayment system or risk staying in the dark. The Ministry of Energy issued this ultimatum following the official rollout of the new software for prepayment electricity meters on November the 24th. We have more.
Yaka meters users who did not upgrade their meters to the global standard transfer specification software by the November 24th deadline will not be able to load tokens, leaving them without electricity.
Any meters that are not upgraded will reject tokens generated after the deadline, and therefore users will not get electricity. Technology expires. Technology has challenges that affect its performance. So this technology, which was introduced in 1993, was supposed to be upgraded so that it matches with the new trends.
The mandatory upgrade of electricity meters using key change tokens aimed at extending their operational life to 2045. The old system has been in use since 1993.
The electricity distribution companies have been embarking on upgrading electricity meters using key change tokens on every meter to extend their life to 2045. And after 2045, of course, there will be another upgrading of these meters.
About 2.2 million customers have upgraded their meters, representing 95.5% completion for both Umeme and UEDCL customers combined, and 100% for KISS and Wenreko.
We proceeded to generate key change tokens for all the 17,122 customers. This was under the premise that if the window hits on the 24th, it practically means that those customers may not be able to access the key change generation system.
Efforts by key stakeholders are ongoing to enhance compliance with the new token identifier system. However, about 130,000 Umeme and Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited customers have yet to comply.
The Parliamentary Committee on Environment and Natural Resources has faulted Evelyn Anite, the Minister of State for Privatization and Investment, for unlawfully terminating the concession agreement of Tibet Hima Mining Company. The report of the committee, presented by the chairperson, Ariko Habet, wants the minister to take full political responsibility for unfair termination of the agreement of the Chinese firm which was to develop Chilembe mines in Kasese district.
Thank you very much.
The chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Environment and Natural Resources, Herbert Ariko, has presented the report on the investigations which led to the termination of the concession agreement between Uganda government and Tibet Hima Mining Company. The Chinese firm reached out to various authorities, including petitioning Parliament, describing that the termination of the concession agreement was unjust. Upon investigations, the MPs sitting on the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources, to the bigger extent, side with the petitioners. The Parliament session, chaired by Speaker Anita Among, was informed of the inconsistencies in the concession agreement despite government unfairly terminating it. During the investigations, the Minister of State for Investment and Privatization, Evelyn Anite, told the MPs how the Tibet Hima Company was incompetent and lacked financial capacity to handle the project.
Were they acting in their personal capacity, or as ministers in charge of privatization?
The MPs observed that Tibet Hima Farm was indeed a vehicle manufacturing company, contrary to what Minister Anite described as a motorcycle assembling firm. The report pins Minister Evelyn Anite for individually taking action on terminating the concession agreement without following the legal procedure of informing the Attorney General. This left Minister Anite up in the clouds, struggling to defend herself. Minister Anite was asked to present evidence to the House.
I need to submit further that I actually consulted the Attorney General, and I will bring the evidence here.
The report further seeks that Minister Evelyn Anite resigns from her position.
My response to this is that I shall not resign even when I have gained enough capacity to be a private citizen, but I am not going to resign.
The termination of the concession of Tibet Hima, according to Minister Anite, was also discussed in Cabinet and was in accordance to the law. According to Anite, on 5th July 2017, she constituted a winding-up commission consisting of 6 people, adding that her move instead saved the country.
The committee notes that the appointment of a winding-up commission prior to the lapse of the notice of termination created impression of a predetermined conclusion that no amount of interventions would cure the defaults for which the termination notice had been issued.
I actually expected to be given a medal by the committee for saving government of Uganda and the citizens of this country from robbery of 30,000 minerals of the people of Uganda. This is the future of our citizens.
Tibet Hima Company secured a 25-year concession agreement, which was later reduced to 15 years, to revive the mining works at the Chilembe mines in Kasese. Since then, infrastructures and more equipment installed by the concessionaire remain rotting as the government in 2017 terminated the contract.
The central bank systems faced a major cyber attack recently, and over 60 billion Ugandan shillings was allegedly siphoned electronically. This alarming breach has sparked widespread concerns about the security of Uganda's financial system, raising critical questions about the resilience of both the central bank and commercial bank cybersecurity measures. We have some insights from experts and opinion leaders.
I think what is coming out from our perspective, two major areas that our systems, once your system has been hacked, it means that it has got a leakage. So we need to fix them. But it goes further to one important area that I think we have been asking us. Is it because we lack a governor? Because currently we have a deputy governor who is the acting governor and who is the acting chairperson of the board of governors of Bank of Uganda. So as a human being, you have limits. And we never saw some of these things from the previous Museveni regimes. We cannot say you can stop hackers from hacking. It can happen. But also the way you do it and the magnitude matters. If you hacked 1 billion at the Ugandan side, probably, you could say, we can deal with that. 60 billion, that is almost the budget of some 4 or 5 small districts in this country. So it's huge. So these are some of the things that are coming up, and we are looking forward to an investigative report. But also I think the third element which is coming out very strongly is that when it comes to serious matters in this country, it's only the army that comes in. We have nothing against the army, but it is showing you that our institutions have weakened all the time that would have helped us to deal with these emerging crimes, white-collar syndicates, that we needed to strengthen ourselves in and be able to fight. That we don't have institutions in this country to deal with this kind of threat, that it is only the army that can do it. So are we going to invite the army to deal with doctors' strikes, teachers' strikes, cybercrime? So we need to reflect back and see the strength we have in dealing with these emerging threats that are happening. How are our institutions prepared, especially that everything is getting online? How are we protecting ourselves from these hackers?
For the case of hacking, is there a possibility of you, Bank of Uganda, tracing where this money has gone and at least recover some of it, or all of it, or all of it?
Yes. In IT there is what they call logs. So you just follow the logs. So online when you do something, it shows what you did at what time, where you did it from. That's why you see in information security, there is what they call CIS, confidentiality, integrity, availability. So with the confidentiality, if it is breached, they will go back. So of the three, they add the non-repudiation, they add the authenticity. So of the accountability lies in confirming what was done, where and when.
And by who?
And by who and when. All those things come in. So I'm very sure these people will be gotten. That's why I said they were not smart. If they were smart, it would be like the thousands that have been hacking and have never been mentioned. Because trust me, there is literally no bank, or there are few banks that have not been hit. But they don't mention names. When you mention a name, it has an impact on your market and your sales. Now, we just have to be conscious and know how we are operating. We are protected by the regulations and all that. If your money is lost, we can go back and get that money. But nevertheless, you cannot tell me that now you start carrying sacks of money. No. That's why I'm saying we have to advance our technology to make sure that we are on the technology, but we are safeguarded as well. Yes, we use technology, but we are safeguarded. How will we do that? As a country, we have to embrace the technology and the cyber security. We have to do more training. We have to do awareness. You have to think more than the other person, the bad person. At the end of the day, when you have more training, you have more advanced, you have done a combination of different campaigns with different countries and different tech gurus. We are good to go.
Away from that, Uganda will not achieve its long-anticipated commercial oil production timeline of 2025. This was confirmed by Dr. Ruth Nankabira, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development. Nankabira, who just returned from COP29 in Baku, called for patience from the citizens as the country navigates the complex path to commercial oil production. Dennis Sigoa has more in the following report.
The excitement surrounding Uganda's first oil production by 2025 is steadily fading as the country now faces the reality of delays in realizing the proceeds from its crude oil reserves. But why has the timeline shifted?
Much as we have the rigs drilling, they are not pulling out oil because we did not plan for storage of crude. No, We didn't plan for that. We planned for the central processing facilities to do the primary processing, and then the pipes that are being laid to take to the refinery and the crude oil. Okay, pump station number 1 in Hoima, that meter with the metering how much crude is going to the refinery, how much crude is going to the East African crude oil pipeline. Minus those critical infrastructure, the refinery and the crude oil pipeline, you cannot talk about seeing fast oil in 2025.
Dr. Ruth Nankabirwa, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, attributes the delay to a mix of challenges, including the complexity of project execution and global concerns over climate change, which have presented financing hurdles.
Because of the unfairness of some of the climate change activists, our projects suffered. They delayed. Our midstream projects delayed, and yet they facilitate the upstream development.
The financing structure of the project has also undergone a significant shift, with the equity to debt ratio moving from the original 40 to 60 to a new 52-48 split, favoring the financiers.
As a matter of principle, we have increased the equity, okay? And the recent one was $45 million for Tanzania and for Uganda. And Total, of course, gives in much more because their shareholding is 62%. Ours is 15%, Tanzania 15%, CNOC is 8%. So we put in according to our shareholding.
The government now projects the start of commercial oil production to be pushed to 2027, marking a 2-year delay from the previously targeted date of late 2025.
So Ugandans have to bear with us. We wanted very much to have the first oil next year, 2025. But I'll be deceiving myself to tell Ugandans that 2025 you are going to see. Yet we have nowhere to keep the crude.
Dennis Igor for the Business Roundup.
And on to matters aviation. The Uganda Airlines has unveiled a flight path sustainability project that will mitigate bird strikes at Entebbe International Airport. At the launch in Entebbe, the CEO Uganda Airlines, Jennifer Bamturaki, cited how since resuming operations, the airline has experienced 6 bird strikes, a challenge that calls for intervention.
There is an old saying among aviators that while birds and planes may share the sky, they do not belong in the same flight path. True to the saying, indeed birds and planes do not flock together. The national carrier Uganda Airlines says they have suffered 6 different bird strikes on both the Sierra Jade 900 and Airbus A330s since resuming operations.
We all know that bird strikes are a challenge. Every time we are taking off for landing, those are some of the things we keep thinking about. And just to give you context, a windshield on a Bombardier, if we are lucky, we will get it at $100,000. If we are lucky. If we are lucky. And now that Bombardier sold to Mitsubishi and Bombardier closed that plant, it means that there's a high demand for spare parts of the Bombardier type of aircraft. We had an aircraft recently that was grounded in Nairobi because it got the bird strike on landing for about a week or so.
Now, it's against this background that the airline has unveiled a new initiative codenamed Flight Path, aimed at mitigating the risk of bird strikes at Entebbe International Airport.
Roughly, for example, in a month globally, 90% of bird strikes are caused during takeoff and also landing. So here we want to look at how can we ensure that we reduce birds flying along the flight path.
The project focuses on community engagement waste management and environmental conservation by working closely with Entebbe municipality local communities, particularly those around fishing sites.
But it is our part as leaders, and as leaders I don't mean the mayors. A leader is anybody in the community who takes initiative to see it transform. As leaders, it is our job to ensure that we get our people in the mindset of change.
We thought that if we turned this waste into gold, these conditions will change. So apart from finding out that there's a challenge that we have, we had now to get the community to work with us.
The airline is also taking the lead in cultivating a culture of recycling waste and routine community cleaning initiatives.
The Kingdom of Buganda has been cleared to ship coffee beans to China. According to the deal, about 100 shipping containers worth of both roasted and green coffee beans will be shipped to China from the Kingdom. The Kingdom will export the coffee through its company, Mwanyi Terimba. We have this international report, courtesy of CGTN.
The Buganda Kingdom, through its company, Mwanyi Terimba, has authorization to export both roasted and green coffee beans. The contract will see about 100 shipping containers worth of coffee shipped to China.
China is a very, very important market for coffee from Uganda, first of all. It has a very big population. Most of them are young people who, fancy coffee drinking. And Uganda, we have the best coffee from across the world when it comes to robusta coffees.
In 2016, the Buganda monarch introduced the Mwanyi Terimba project to boost coffee growing in the kingdom and to alleviate poverty among the Buganda community. Many farmers who responded to the king's call were assisted by the government coffee agency to open up new gardens with free seedlings.
My grandfather was a coffee farmer. My dad was a coffee farmer. And our school fees came from coffee. I have been growing coffee for 30 years now. Despite working for the government, coffee is my primary source of income. The biggest portion of the money I spend on my family is from coffee.
In October this year, Uganda exported close to 500,000 bags of coffee valued at about $140 million. More than 4% of the coffee earnings came from China. Uganda is brewing strong ties with China, targeting its vast and growing coffee market, with coffee being one of Uganda's top exports. The government is hopeful that tapping into the Chinese market will boost coffee earnings and reduce reliance on traditional European buyers. According to Uganda's coffee roadmap, the country plans to grow its coffee exports from the current 9 million bags to more than 20 million bags by 2030. China is the first on the list of the key target markets.
We are registering our farmers. We are trying to show evidence backed by data from the farms to the export markets that our farmers and our farms are compliant, so that our coffee continues to be bought at premium prices.
Local exporters claim the new Chinese market presents a valuable opportunity, yet meeting its demand may be quite challenging.
The market is picking up very, very, very fast, and I want to tell you that the coffee that we are supplying currently to China is not even enough. So we just have to work backwards and look for more coffee, to satisfy this kind of market that we have.
For many farmers like Paddy Mubiru, fair coffee prices and a steady market are what they are looking for to improve their quality of life. Michael Baleke, CGTN, Kampala, Uganda.
It is good to give a timeline both to ourselves as government so that we don't lose sight, but also give hope to the people. It's just because Ugandans can be impatient. Exploration. For instance, in the beginning, just the negotiations that took over here just to discuss an MOU. And remember, we were a bit naive coming the first time, we're excited, we're not looking at things, we think we've trained 3-4 people, they can get us there. We've realized we need to train many more people, thousands of people, to be able to stay on track. Because it's not just about a legal ability to sign contracts. We also realize we need financial muscle, and I think we always assume we'll get the money elsewhere. So already we have a basket that now we've known that, you know, we have to continually, annually put money aside that we should invest in that area. In the beginning, people like UNOC, we were not paying a lot of attention to them. Yes, we knew we needed a national company, but I think we needed to have done better to prepare. We needed to have given ourselves a bigger percentage in investing than we did. Now we realize, because it's come back to us, and government is adjusting according to that, yes.
There is a frenzy surrounding the Nsenene season here in Kampala, a time when markets like Katwe come alive with the hustle and bustle of buyers and sellers cashing in on this seasonal delicacy. One thing is clear though, Grasshoppers season isn't just about food. It's our culture, community and commerce. Check this out in our Sounds of Business. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. The tragic news from Bulambuli district of Wednesday's devastating landslides has raised worrying concerns. As the rescue operations continue, our thoughts are with the victims and their families as they recover and heal, with hope that more survivors are found. From the entire Business Desk production, it's a goodbye. Till next week, stay safe.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Plascon, paint and win. This year, Plascon, paint and win. The cuckoo roundy. Chicho, buy paint worth 100K. Get a scratch card, SMS the code to 7197. Stand a chance to win instant airtime, 1 million shillings bully day there, or a share of a